Hello, everybody. This is Scott Templeman of the Gilbane Group, part of levcel now. I have with me today Cheryl McKinnon, Chief Marketing Officer from Nuxio, and she came here today to talk about some technology trends in the content tech realm. She'll be part of T1, the technology track keynote, and that's on the first day right after lunch, so definitely mark it on your calendar. So that being said, why don't you give the audience a introduction to you and your background?
Sure. Thanks again for the invitation. So I've been with Nuxio now for just over a year as their first chief marketing officer. I've spent 16, 17 years in the content management industry, all aspects, prior to marketing, more on the consulting, training, product management, product marketing side. So it's, I've had a chance to look at a lot of different aspects of the industry. It's a space I really love. I love watching the trends in terms of how we are capturing and preserving our digital legacy, whether it's for business purposes or personal cultural purposes. So it's a space that's really exciting, and I think the next couple of years are going to be fascinating to watch.
Okay. Now, as far as trends this year, I'm by no means a content tech head. So, what were the major content technology trends for 2010?
Sure. I think 2010 is actually going to go down as a bit of a turning point year in the content management industry. A couple of reasons I say that. Number one, we've seen the rapid adoption of what a lot of the analysts are calling alternative delivery methods for content management applications. And certainly the company I work for, Nuxio, is part of the open source movement, is part of that emerging new alternative way of acquiring and deploying content management applications. But of course, we're also seeing the rise of software as a service content management providers and the entire cloud initiative, whether it's public or private. So certainly that disruptive business models coming in from some of the newer vendors, I think, is going to shake up the industry a bit. Also, it's the year of interoperability. I think the emergence of new standards like the CMIS initiative that came out of Oasis back in May is really going to impact how vendors move their product portfolio forward and open up the playing field to a lot of interesting new applications that can sit on top of any number of traditional ECM applications. So that's really exciting to see more and more vendors, even outside of core ECM, things like portals or BPM and web content management tools adopting this standard. And the next thing I think we're going to start seeing the emergence of is paying a lot more attention to digital preservation issues. I think, as important as open source is to keeping the ECM industry innovative, open standards really needs to become front and center if we're going to really start thinking carefully about long-term preservation issues. So that's certainly an area that I'm watching very closely.
Excellent. So, just two things that really stuck out to me were the cloud and open source. Those are both huge buzzwords, and I think they've started to spread beyond
Sure.
the content tech realm because of the people are recognizing the value.
Right.
Now, for that in perspective, with 2011, 2012, what do you think what kind of trends are needed to move it to the next level?
Well, I think, again, more and more organizations are really looking at how they can take more a firm grasp on their own internal ECM roadmaps. And that's why I think, continuing to promote open source as an alternative it's not just because it's easier to acquire the licenses, but it really helps organizations start planning where do they want to take their content management applications to meet their very specific and often perhaps unique content management challenges. So I think what we're seeing is kind of the rise of the maker culture inside content management savvy organizations, where they don't necessarily want to sit and wait for a vendor to add a new feature to their roadmap, but they want to take a little bit more control and start building apps that meet some really creative and interesting, often challenging use cases out there in the market. So big companies already have developers and IT architects on their payroll, and this is where they can actually start using technology to meet the very specific challenges of that particular organization.
Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up for the coming conference? Or
Well, I mean, Gilbane Conference is always a great place for some interesting debate and conversation. So I'm looking forward to the panel participants who will be there with me, some great names. They'll be up there on the podium. And yeah, I mean, a great mix of vendors and consultants and end users. So hopefully we'll have some good Q&A during the session as well.
yeah, like I said, that's session T1 on Wednesday, December 1st, and it's right after lunch. So definitely check it out. So thank you very much, Cheryl, for your time today, and
All right.
I'll be seeing you in just a few weeks now.
Yep. See you in Boston.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.